Welcome everyone to the Gangs All Here post-game show. Frankie Vitz is covering all bases tonight. Ryan is off. Must be nice, Ryan. Must be nice. Although I'm taking off tomorrow, so I'm gonna have my little vacay, my little getaway weekend. Yeah, welcome to the New York Post Sports post-game show. Frankie Vitz in the house. We'll be joined momentarily, 5 or 10 minutes, by Will Parkinson from Turn On the Jets, one of my favorite content creators. We may have a special guest later on in the show, TBD, but kind of stick around for that. Yeah, drop a like on the stream. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, New York Post Sports. I contribute for them. I'm like, you know what, Ryan, you're going away? We can do a show. Put me on. Why not? I could do a solo act. You think this is my first solo act? Please, come on. But the New York Jets lose a weird football game. Just weird. I'm trying to think of how to describe this game. Kind of had a little bit of everything, but a little bit of nothing. The New York Jets lose 27-14 on the road to the New England Patriots. Vegas strikes again. Right before the game, the Pats were actually 12.5-point favorites, and they covered by a half a point. Shout outs to Vegas. They seem to do that quite often, don't they? But listen, at the end of the day, the New York Jets just don't have enough firepower to contend on the road with a team like the New England Patriots. The Jets came out. That first drive was beautiful. Was exactly what all Jet fans wanted. It was methodical. The play calling was great. Justin Fields was confident, ran the football well, and you capitalized on a defense that I thought could have been taken advantage of. I don't think that New England defense is a defense you really fear. I like that Aaron Glenn came out when we won the coin toss and said, I want the ball, which I always want my head coach to do that, especially when you're 2-7. Take the ball and score. What's the point, especially with your defense injured like ours was? So I like that by Aaron Glenn. You take the football, you have your best drive of the game, though. And that does seem to happen more often than not. It happens in the NFL. You have that sort of 14 play script to kind of start the game out. Things kind of run well, and then things get flat. Listen, Justin Fields, say what we want about him. I like the kid. I think he is special in terms of his athleticism, but that conversation ends there. Justin Fields cannot pass in the NFL at a level that you're going to be able to overcome deficits. We know the stats with Justin Fields. When a team scores 21 or more points against him, he's 1-26. That one win came a few weeks ago against the Bengals, who had one of the worst defenses we've seen in years. So it's not like some impressive win there, but Justin Fields just doesn't have enough throwing the football. Now, I'll say this. John Mechie dropped a few balls. A.D. Mitchell, not John Mechie, A.D. Mitchell dropped a few balls there that if you come up with those, A.D., you're putting your team and your quarterback in a more advantageous position. I mean, Justin Fields hit A.D. Mitchell on a streak on that sideline. Could it have been a little bit more forward not towards the sideline? Yeah. Was it a tough catch? Yeah, kind of. That's a catch, A.D. Mitchell, you got to make, man. Fields didn't return him any favors later on the next drive when A.D. Mitchell is good play call. They sort of have a little trips formation. They have 80 sort of pop out. Fields just throws it behind them. But 80, you can make that catch, and you should make that catch. Justin Fields cannot have wide receivers, especially when Garrett Wilson's not playing. He cannot have his wide receivers not bailing him out. He just can't. He needed a few bailout catches just to get the mojo going, and that was really it. We tried in the second half to do something. We had one nice drive there in the third quarter where things sort of seemed to move, but New England's offense was just exactly what we expected. Wasn't some blowout performance by their offense. We weren't blown out necessarily, but it was what we expected. A very efficient game by Drake May. He started the game, I think, 11 in a row, which is his high. He almost threw for 300 yards, which he hasn't done yet in the NFL. Had 281 yards. Travion Henderson added 62 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns. Drake May was 25 of 34 for 281 yards. A majority of those going to Stephon Diggs. Diggs was targeted 11 times, had 9 catches there. Listen, you're going into a fight with a hand tied behind your back. Let's just call a spade a spade. Sauce isn't here. Quinn is not here. Garrett didn't play. We had some injuries there on the outside. AZ Thomas didn't play. What did you expect to happen? This game sort of went exactly, I guess, how Vegas predicted it to go. This was like a chalk kind of game, right? They didn't blow us out like I thought was going to happen. And I believe Ryan did too, if you listened to our preview show, which is always nice. It went, I think, a little bit more with what Kaz said. I think Kaz's prediction may have been spot on, if I'm not mistaken. I think Kaz might have predicted it right on, 27-14. It was a chalk win. It was a chalk loss, however you want to look at it. But shout outs to the comments. Anyone out there, if you want to share some comments right there, we can get this thing moving. Let's go to some comments. We have a running back at quarterback by Mad 5K. Yeah, kind of. Listen, Justin Fields at Ohio State. Justin Fields could throw the ball over the yard. Something happened between the time he got drafted in the top 10 to now that he's in the NFL, 5 years later on his 4th different team or 6 years later, whatever that number is. He just really doesn't see it. And when he does, it's tough on these receivers. Let's not kid ourselves. Yeah, should AD Mitchell have made some catches? Yeah, those are tough catches, though. The kid just started. This is his first game playing here. So these aren't necessarily easy catches. I do think if Garrett Wilson played this game, I do think you might have had a closer game than New England fans would have been comfortable with. Jets defense got shredded tonight. Woof. Ryan in the house. What's up, partner? How we doing? Yeah, listen. The Jets defense didn't give up a big play tonight. So if you look at it in totality, it wasn't one play that you could point to. Brandon Stevens had a really nice play to avoid a big play to Matt Collins. You saw that. And Mac had a step on him. But yeah, it was methodical. It was just dink and dunk, or it was just over the middle, a methodical approach. Drake May, you saw those pressure charts that I really like that Amazon Prime does. And by the way, Amazon Prime does an awesome job. We got to give them some credit. Like Thursday Night Football that they do, I love it. I'm always on either my phone, my TV. I like that I could, rewind and, start live and go back and fast forward. Like that's a good experience. Their other view is pretty cool too. Their next gen view. I kind of like that. I was kind of feeling that. I was kind of going there and back and forth. But yeah, Ryan, I mean, the Jets defense, they weren't getting home. That was another thing we spoke about. You got to get some sacks tonight. At least a couple. We only sacked Drake May once. Only once. Drake May knows how to use his pressures. You saw that little pressure circle they were showing. Drake May, there's a little red there. He's going the other way. He feels it. He's an impressive kid. They got a good quarterback over there. They got a good offensive coordinator too in Josh McDaniels. I don't think he really gets enough credit for how he's developed Drake May, because Drake May didn't look like that last year. So yeah, I see some more comments up here. Where were the Breece Hall touches? Our offensive coordinator needs situational awareness. If we lose because we're not the best team, no, but to continually, get subpar coaching with situational. Yeah, man, this is the conversation that it's tough. It's a tough conversation to have because you give your running back touches usually when you're up or the game's close. We weren't really that close this game. Like we were always a few scores behind. I know they were down 7 for a little bit, but it's tough. You're constantly playing catch up. You're not. That's why, we were up 7-0, and then the blink of an eye it was 14-7. New England has the ball. They missed the field goal to end the half. We never were able to get any leverage there to be able to really utilize Brees like we wanted to. Yeah, Brees tonight. I mean, listen, Brees also didn't really do anything tonight, if we're being honest. I mean, he didn't have a bad game, but he didn't have a good game by any stretch. He had, 14 carries for 58 yards, 4.1 a carry, only caught 2 balls for 6 yards. I know in our preview show, shout outs to Vegas again, they had 15 and a half, I think, the over under on receiving yards for Brees. And Kaz and I were like, take the over. I mean, that wasn't even half of that, right? So that's football, though. I think they knew, Vegas, that this wasn't going to be a Brees game, and it wasn't. Brees on the overall had what, 63 total yards on the day. I mean, that's not how you're going to win. Justin Fields, 15 of 26, 116 yards, touchdown, sacked twice. I mean, the fact that I'm reading that and telling myself, oh, it's not a bad game, like, that's a problem, by the way. Like, we have to understand when we're talking about 116 yards for a quarterback, and I'm not putting all the blame on Fields, but when that becomes like your barometer is like 120 yards or something and a touchdown and only getting sacked a couple times, it's not good enough. He did add 67 yards on the ground, Fields, and he did have that first touchdown. And I was going to bet the first touchdown with him, and I just was running around. But Fields can't. Reading some more comments here. Fields can't run an offense. Listen, man, Fields, it's tough for Justin Fields to fit an offense. Like, we spoke about that coming into the season. What do the Jets need to do to have an offense catered to Justin Fields? I was saying it's got to look something like the Lamar Jackson Ravens offense, just a cheaper version of that. The Walmart Ravens offense is what we needed to run. We're kind of doing that, I guess, but it's not even Walmart version. It's just like backyard football-ish kind of version. And then you have some stuff that Tanner Engstrand goes in his bag with that he learned with Ben Johnson in Detroit. So it's not really enough. It's in this league, you got to have an offense, got to have a quarterback that can put up 21 or so points in the blink of an eye. You got to be able to have 2 or 3 drives consecutively where you score at least like 14 to 17. That kind of is our ceiling with Justin Fields. I feel like you got to be able to put that up in a quarter and a half in this league to stay competitive. And again, we're just not scoring enough points with Justin Fields. That's the issue. The wide receivers aren't there. Garrett's been hurt. But, if you look at this year, 14 points, 27 we had the week before. Then we had our big output, 39. But then look at these next games. 6 points, 11 points, 22 points, 21 points, 27 points. That included the 27 points against Tampa. That was a Will McDonald play too. So it's 20 points really by the offense, 10 points. And then probably the best game they had, or the most impressive game offensively, was week 1 where they put up 32 points. But the offense just doesn't have enough firepower. Now, the good, if I want to bring up something good, I do think Tanner Engstrand with some weapons, I like what he dialed up tonight. And I know Ryan's going to laugh at me. People are going to laugh at me because I'm a big Tanner fanboy, but I think Tanner Engstrand dialed up some good stuff tonight. That deep ball to A.D. Mitchell's got to be caught. That trips route that A.D. Mitchell releases wide out on has got to be thrown better and has to be caught. This is just a patchwork operation that's going on here. I think the offensive coordinator has some idea about what he's doing. If you get him a better quarterback and weapons that can develop with the better quarterback and better weapons too. We need better weapons. Listen, let's not kid ourselves. The Indianapolis Colts are trying to win a Super Bowl this year. They're not throwing A.D. Mitchell in a trade because they want to help the Jets out. Like, there's obviously, they know something. They have Hey, Will, what's up, brother?
How we doing?
Got him in the house.
How we doing? Sorry, I was listening to Glenn's
the legend
presser.
What did he say?
said they didn't want to get Fields get hit too much tonight. I'm like, oh boy.
Really?
Well, he just said they don't want to turn him into a running back, which I get it, but he's kind of really only good at one thing. So if he's not going to run or be an effective runner, then it's kind of hard to play him. Like he wasn't good tonight. I know there's all the excuses made on the broadcast, and yeah, Mitchell had two he probably should have caught in the whole thing. Like I get it, but he doesn't see the field, turns the football over, takes a lot of unnecessary sacks. He runs into the sack right at the end of the game there in 3rd and 2. Like, it's just hard to watch, and you can't really evaluate anybody else. Like you can't evaluate anything on this offense because it's all has to be gadgety stuff to get him involved. And again, where they obviously are not anywhere near as talented as the Patriots are right now, and like that's fine, right? You can deal with that. What I can't deal with is like they had every reason that with even average quarterback play tonight, that game ends 27-24 probably. And it's like, oh,
For sure.
he
And
fought really
Garrett
well.
Wilson plays tonight. Imagine.
Yeah, you
You have
feel
an
a little
average
better.
quarterback with Garrett Wilson. I mean, I didn't feel like New England tonight. I mean, I don't know what your take is. I'm not like they were impressive in certain things. I thought Drake May was impressive in how patient he is and how smooth he is in the pocket. But as a whole, this isn't like a team I'm looking at and saying, wow, they blew the doors off us tonight.
No, I'm not at all.
Yeah.
I think the Jets tonight kind of did a lot of what we hoped they would do. I think they fought, they played hard. There was no like letdown off of the couple of back-to-back wins. They, had some nice moments. They were able to have that really nice drive early on. Engstrand was cooking up that first drive. I thought he was really good to open the second half as well. So to me, like, I think, there were some nice things tonight, but you see the clear deficiencies. They're going to have to spend money in free agency on the defense. They're going to have to draft one, if not multiple receivers. They're going to have to obviously figure out something else at quarterback and, probably draft another one or two guys on defense, obviously. But like, the one thing I will say, Frankie, I don't know if you feel this way, but specifically last month, where they've played much better, generally speaking, been in closer games. Again, Panthers and Patriots lost feel like very quarterback related. And the other two, obviously, they win. And then the bye week, you can point to like the 4 or 5 areas where they need help badly. Like they are not good enough at safety. They're not good enough at, and the second, in secondary, I guess as a whole, they're not good enough right now. Brownlee was hilarious how they,
they picked on him a little bit.
Defender,
he can't play that outside corner, man. That's not his role.
Carter. Immediately, Brownlee starts playing badly. It was amazing when he was here, and then they move him, and then Brownlee turns back into a pumpkin. But no, like right, even defensive tackle, obviously, like those guys are probably best suited as your second and third guys, not as your 1 and 2. But McDonald kicked Will Campbell's ass tonight again, and it's just he actually has been really impressive. It's just unfortunately with Drake May is so smooth in the pocket. That feel on that's the last touchdown drive they have where he just like McDonald's gonna almost kill him every single time. It's like he just has that innate sense that
totally dude
don't have. So unfortunate, obviously, but 13.5 point spread, Frankie, and they lose by 13.
Oh, it went up to 13 and a half. I thought it was 12 and a half.
It moved to 13 and a half on a lot of books like an hour before kickoff.
Oh, wow. Damn. All right. So people that bet on the Jets and within the last couple hours, they won money. All right. That makes me a little happy. I thought it got stuck at 12 and a half. Wow. Incredible. Yeah, of course Vegas knows. Vegas knows. I was saying that before, Will. I'm like, this is kind of a Vegas game. Like what Vegas told us was going to happen is it was like a chalk game. Like nothing special happened one way or the other. Weird game.
Yeah. That was nice. That was nice to see Mechie. Mechie had a couple nice plays tonight.
No, Mechie played well tonight. He's open. He's a good player.
Yeah. And AD Mitchell, man, I know this was a classic AD Mitchell experience, right? Like you got all of it in one. He had the big third down conversion early in the game. That dude's always open. He's going to separate. He's always going to be in the right spot. But like one game, like next week, he'll have 5 for 125. We're all get excited. Then the week after, he's going to have what he did tonight, where it's like a couple of drops, et cetera. So yeah, man, it's just one of those games where like they're a team that's in transition. It's a lot of young guys fighting for roster spots, and That's why some drives are going to look really good and other drives are going to look like a JV team. That's just unfortunately the way it looks, at this point.
Yeah, totally. Let me make a special announcement. We have one of my favorite people in NFL world. I had her on a Twitter space a few times. I met her in person, actually at the NFL Combine. I don't know if she remembers me. I actually met her initially at Antoine Walker did a screening in Tribeca. I went with Nick. We met her, but we have NFL senior insider. I don't know if I should say senior, but NFL insider Josina Anderson in the house. Joe, what is your take on tonight's game? It was a little flat, right? Nothing too exciting, I'd say. Audio check. I don't know. Josina, do you hear us? Okay. We'll come back. We'll circle back. But yeah, Will, listen, man, at the end of the day, I just don't understand the logic behind forcing Justin
I know.
Fields every week. I mean, he didn't play that bad tonight. Listen, the 67 yards on the ground.
He is who he is.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's just I don't. I guess the question for you and Josina, if you're in, pop in. Um, I don't understand what kind of offense Josina needs to. Excuse me, Justin Fields needs to run to be successful in this league. I just don't know if it needs, like I was saying, run a Lamar Jackson,
Yeah.
Baltimore Ravens
Early on, the
light.
early Lamar.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I don't, the problem is right now, it's like, I don't really know the answer because in a lot of ways, like they're running what should work for him. Like they early on was what they, what you were doing where, you got him doing some read option stuff. You got him on the move a little bit. You tried to create, create some matchups for him. And obviously able to score the touchdown. But Frankie, a couple of the issues here is like he doesn't want to get hit. And I don't blame him. And we talked about this, I think, on Jake's show. Like he's taken a ton of hits over the years, and I totally get it, right? Uh,
yeah,
but like, if like, I'm not trying to be that guy, but like you look, even when he runs the football, he's trying to get down and get out of bounds as quickly as possible. Um, which means you're passing up yards, unfortunately. And he's a guy who, unless someone's wide open, that first read, he's just simply not going to make a throw. It's unfortunate, but it's just kind of the reality of who he is at this point. And my only issue is like, if Tyrod's not healthy to play, or you don't trust him to stay healthy, then you need to figure out something else as your backup option. And if Tyrod is healthy enough to play, Justin at this point he doesn't have you don't need to just hang on to that. He's not your homegrown draft pick where like you don't want to crush his confidence. Justin should be able to kind of sit there, and I'm not trying to be a dick here, but like he should be able to be someone that can handle like, hey, Tyrod's going to finish the second half here. Like we're right in this ball game. Like, dude, 14-7 at half. Easy time, similar to the Panthers game where it's like, hey, you're not the only problem here, but we're looking for a little bit of a spark. New England was getting zero pass rush. Guys were open. I just felt, and the running game like was doing enough. I just
yeah.
felt that was a nice chance to be like, hey, we're gonna go to Tyrod here, let him finish it out. We can go back to Justin next week if we want to, but for right now, I'm just not really sure. I guess they wonder if they don't think Tyrod could stay healthy, and that's why they don't want to have to just go right back to Fields. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, it's I feel like there was a shot tonight to like maybe get a spark at 14-7. You got to stop right out of the half. That was awesome to see, and it was like, man, if Engstrand looked like he had something cooking, kind of scripted, it would have been nice to kind of see what it would have looked like with Tyrod. I don't know, maybe he hits Mechie on one of those go balls later in the game because it felt like Mitchell or hits Mechie a couple times on crossers, or I don't know. It just felt like there was a little bit a little bit out there.
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. I don't. It's just I think this team needed to come into the year. I wish we had another option at quarterback that at least we can look at and say, oh, this person could be our backup in 2026 that we feel comfortable with, or someone that maybe has a little bit of upside. I think you sort of you keep your options limited at the position when you're just tying yourself down to Fields or Tyrod, obviously, as your backup. I think this is probably Tyrod's last year in the league. I was talking to some people. They don't think he'll be back necessarily. Maybe maybe his last year.
Yeah.
Um,
See
but
that
yeah,
he's the 1
yeah,
year left on the deal. I mean, he's
that's what I'm saying.
gotten
Like
beat
he
up a lot.
might. No, he definitely has. He definitely has. Yeah, we're trying to. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties with Josina. We might have another special guest coming on in a little bit, Will. So if you're going to stick
Oh, yeah.
around, but Will, what do you? This defense tonight. I mean, this Wilkes game plan. Let's go through it a little bit. So he played a lot of man in that first half, right? He loves himself some man coverage.
Loves a token blitz on 3rd down and 5.
Loves it. Loves it. It's his dream come true. It's his lucky charm. But he actually switched to a zone in the second half a bit more. They started playing a lot more zone. Um so I'm kind of I mean, listen, neither really worked necessarily. I know he's more of a man guy, and then he tried to play zone. What do you think about Wilkes in general? I mean, like, do you see any longevity with this guy here, or you think
I
this is kind of his one and done kind
Listen,
of?
I mean, he might be back, but it feels like that's the obvious. Like Banjo's been awesome. I feel like Engstrand's gotten better each week. I've been impressed. I know you have as well. And I frankly feel like Glenn has gotten better each week. Like I don't. Glenn had these guys ready to play tonight. There was no like let off, and I don't think he was bad in terms of any like he pushed the right buttons when to go for it, when not to go for it. I felt like I think there was like even early in the game, there's a 3rd down. It felt like he would have gone for it on 4th down early in that game. So I didn't see anything from Glenn tonight that was not enough or anybody else. I just felt like it was the like Wilkes is just very predictable with his play calling, generally speaking. And there's too many coverage busts tonight. There weren't, a lot of penalties, a lot of grabbing. And then just like the blitzes don't really ever get home. It feels like the times the Jets are really good on against, pass rush wise, it's McDonald or right now McDonald or Jermaine just beat their guy one on one, and that's how they're able to kind of get pressure. And the times they got pressure tonight, that's what it was. It wasn't necessarily sending 5, sending 6. It always feels like it's just like the most predictable. Kind of one guy, 4 guys, and then one other guy's coming in there in man coverage of some sort.
Totally.
That's the only issue I have there with with Wilkes long term.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, Josina, are you here? Can you hear us? If
I
you
can hear
are,
you.
there you are. Okay, nice, nice. I was wondering. I'm like, they're like,
Well,
oh,
so what it
your
is
mic's
is
muted.
that
I'm
you
like,
got to
she
tell
knows her
me.
mic's muted.
Well, here's the thing. You got to tell me because so yeah, you can come in and then there's the option for the camera
Hmm.
and the audio just like any other thing that you join, but I had to allow permissions in your settings first. So that's what it was. Yeah, but now I know.
Oh, okay. No, makes sense. All right, all
Mhm.
right.
I'm here.
Now,
I'm here.
so Joe, what are your thoughts about tonight's game? Did anything stand out to you? We were talking about the game. We said it was sort of just a chalk game. What we expected sort of happened, nothing special. But what'd you take away from tonight's game in general?
Well, I think the first thing that comes to my mind is I would like to see Justin Fields process faster. I
Mm,
think that's just from just looking at it. I don't get a chance to watch the Jets often. I've been covering, other teams, so was kind of looking forward to just being able to sit down. They're the only team playing, and really get a good ability to be able to digest them. And then particularly in the second half when I was just watching, and I'm going to get to the second part of what I'm about to say first, but beyond what I think about just the offense in general, there were opportunities that were there for him to, use his legs, get out on the run, and then kind of see the play. Even if you're somebody that likes to see it unfold like a half a second more, what have you, there's still ways for you to buy yourself more time by, using your legs if to still pass. And that doesn't mean I'm saying, run the ball every time and put yourself at risk, or just call your own number on the scramble or what have you. I just think that there were times there where even when the guys were covered, even with Garrett Wilson out, even with the receivers not being all A1 receivers out there, that he could have started that domino effect of maybe something positive happening just by reacting quicker, getting the ball out of his hands quicker, and also taking off outside of the pocket to buy yourself more time to then throw it. There are times when he did that, but there were a lot of times where it sat back to me and I was like, he needs to process, quicker. I think the other thing that comes to my mind is when you look at Drake May and the leap that he's made from the first year to the second year, and obviously the presence of Josh McDaniels, beyond the fact that I knew that Drake May had this ability. I'm not just saying that because I'm a Tar Heel, he's a Tar Heel. I mean, I interviewed the kid at the combine in Indianapolis, and I always feel like I get a good sense of people and what have you. And this is things that I said last year, so I knew that he had that in him. But one thing that stood out to me was that he also has the benefit of having a very experienced offensive coordinator on the other side, whereas
Oh,
Justin Fields doesn't have that. So even like if he's not seeing something or he's in his head or what have you, not only is he missing the experience from offensive coordinator, but he's missing that relationship where somebody gets him to know how to turn his button so that he snaps out of whatever malaise or whatever it is to maybe get him to perform better. So there's something else I'm going to say really quickly, and that's what it made me think. I was like, man, I probably should write an article about this. But it made me think of the fact that, and I'm not going to say who, because I'm not going to start anything on whatever. But it made me think of the fact that there was an offensive coordinator that was available to the Jets, and conversations that I'm aware of that they did not go in that direction. And I just kept thinking, in my really good time to consume them tonight, I was just like, probably could have used that. You see what I'm saying? Especially when the Patriots have that advantage on the other side. You know what I mean? So
just make sure that name isn't Clint Kubiak, because I think Will's gonna fall out of his chair if that's
well,
it.
and
Will's
it's
been
so
talking
funny
about
that
Clint Kubiak for 2 years.
I've
and
been
it's
trying.
so funny that you bring up that name because somebody asked me, an executive from a team. I won't say where, but we were having a conversation about Shador Sanders. So they just said to me randomly. So they're like, if it wasn't the Browns, where would you put Shador? And I said, well, last year I actually said that, beyond the Giants, that my number one team for him at the time was the Saints, and only because I felt like the step down in market would have benefited him just to be in a less bright scenario. But beyond, and then he was like, oh, you think Kellen Moore and Fedor and okay, well that's a whole nother conversation. I won't get too far off track. But the point that I was going to make to get back to Clint was that I said, but if it wasn't that now, I think that he could, benefit from just being in the environment in Seattle. And I was like, if the Browns were going to do it, I would love for them to put him in Seattle, just because I think them being so far away from everyone's like, media attention, as far as like, big market media. And also, I just respect what Mike McDonald is doing up there. They've got Leslie Frazier, obviously Clint, and all those people, and they're doing great things up there. So and then beyond just the quarterback whisperer in Minnesota or what have you. But yeah, those are the things that stood out in my mind, and I'd like to see Justin process quicker. I wonder if they need to upgrade at OC. I heard what you were
Mm.
saying about Steve Wilkes. Um, and, listen, I've been covering the league, the NFL, for over 20 years. I've seen Steve, have a defense together and get it clicking. And I just feel like everything just kind of seems a little off, just off tilt. You know what? So when you make a big change, that you sometimes you have that kind of, it's like when you first do something, they call it beginner's luck, or if you make a big change, you kind of have that juju. Everyone wants to prove, oh, they can do it without this and da 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 and all this other stuff. So you ride off that energy, but eventually the water comes back to its mark, and I think that mark is just that the Jets are in transition.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're
Yeah.
right. You're right, Josina. Well, you have anything you wanted to
No,
bring
I
up?
just like the fields processing thing is just unfortunate. It's been
Yeah.
it's been his biggest bugaboo in the NFL, outside of just like, he's obviously not always been in the most advantageous situations, but a lot of the time it's like if he doesn't see it open, he's a guy who needs to see it open right away for him to make a decision to throw it. And like in this league, it's just not. Maybe sometimes you can scheme enough up open early on in scripts and different things like that, but nuts come to
Yeah.
bolts, and like sometimes you got to like throw somebody open. Sometimes you got to take a shot when somebody's one-on-one, and like, I know the broadcast was blaming AD Mitchell on the go ball at the end of the game. It's like, I mean, dude, he threw the ball off Christian Gonzalez's ass. Like, I don't know what you want the receiver to do there. And, the Jets have tried to give him as much confidence as possible. I'm not saying that like it's the most ideal situation, but like AG's gone to bat for him publicly, like as much as you can possibly go to bat for somebody that's had 4 or 5 games under 60 yards, right? Like, he's done some nice things. He's had moments. He had moments tonight where he had some, the off schedule play to Mechie is obviously a nice play. Like, he had the first touchdown drive where he's just a better athlete than Harold Landry is at this point in his career, and he's able to beat him to the pylon. That's awesome. But, it's the stuff that the consistency is just not, unfortunately, there. And I don't disagree with the only thing, the reason with Wilkes, I guess I'm a little bit harder on him than maybe I even need to be. The talent, 100%. Like, look, they just traded 2 All-Pro players. Like, your defense is going to take a hit for sure. And Drake May's playing at an unbelievably high level. I just feel like sometimes this stuff, it's like it just has become a little predictable with his play calling, like drive over drive. Like this year, it feels like they're very predictable. They're going to go to man on third down. They're going to blitz. They're going to blitz Quincy. They're going to blitz one of the safeties and roll down when they're in nickel. Like, it's not that he still has like these moments where he's put together really nice game plans. Like, you think back to that Panthers game, the Broncos game, like Wilkes' game plan was perfect. He had Bo Nix and Bryce Young playing very shaky football. So like he still has it in there. It's just, I do wonder, like, long-term, maybe next year, the year following, like, is he a long-term solution at DC, or is he kind of, hey, we get AG, like have somebody in the building that has been a head coach in this league, can call his own plays. I don't have to babysit him and stuff like that, especially with a young offensive coordinator and young special teams coach. So I'd be curious to see what that looks like next year. But for the rest of the year, it's going to be seeing what you have in guys like Mitchell and Mechie and the, Mason Taylor and Rucker and these guys on offense, and who's going to be here next year, who's not. And then on defense, it's the same kind of concept of like, what's Malachi Moore look like in a full-time role? What's, you hope Azareye'h Thomas can get healthy from the concussion. What's he going to look like the remaining 6-7 weeks of just getting some good experience? Like, to me, it's play the young guys as much as you can and see who's a part of your future and who's not. And you'll use the 1 million draft picks and, gazillion dollars of cap space when we get there. But for right now, it's like, just see what you have in these young guys. As much as Mitchell had a rough night, I'd much rather see that than at this point, like running out Allen Lazard every day. Like, I just think that's at least beneficial of like, hey, maybe Mitchell figures it out. And maybe he doesn't, but like, I'd rather take a shot on a 22-year-old that has talent and under cost control for a couple of years than, some of these vets that just likely won't be here next year.
Well, let me ask you guys a question really quick. Will, you brought this up. So you think that throw Fields had to AD Mitchell on that?
On that first one or the second one?
First one. Do you think that?
First one should have been.
I've heard people say it. Listen, I thought for Justin Fields, that's a great throw, right?
Yeah,
like,
it should have been caught, but he had him beat by enough that you feel like you'd love to see him push the ball out in front of him a little bit and kind of hit him in stride. But at the same time, to be fair, Mitchell should catch that football. It's a really difficult catch over the shoulder. Like that's
it's a tough
as hard of a catch as it is in the NFL and and stuff like that. But it's one of those things where it's like you just would have loved that one. Maybe you give Mitchell a little bit more of a hard time. You're like, hey man, like you beat one of the best corners in the NFL in a double move. You got by him. You did everything right. You got to finish that play. The second one that Fields was rolling out on that, beautifully called third down, man beater. They had the pick play set up. It worked perfectly. Mitchell, if you put him on him there, he might still be running. So the last couple ones where I felt like, and then Mitchell dropped the one on a dig route later on, and then Fields missed him again. It was like they could not get on the same page tonight. Both guys share the blame, but that's what happens when you don't have practice time with a guy. And then both guys are inconsistent right now. They're young players with talent, but Mitchell's got all the talent in the world. He doesn't seem to be able to put it together for 4 quarters. And Fields, it's drive by drive. You really have no idea which guy you're getting, in my opinion.
Yeah. Josina,
I would say also that when that play happened with the low snap, and he wasn't able to get his body over the ball because his mind was already committed to what he was gonna do as the play happened, and then I kind of could feel that as I was watching the replay. But I just feel like he did a good job, and that is his job, staying, professional, coming back in. I was watching his body language as he was leading the huddle before they went into it. So, I felt like, okay, he's mentally trying to recover, but at the same time, I could just feel his dejection a little bit. And so this is why I'm always speaking just about energy. And, as much as the Jets were, felt the role of being, on a 2 game winning streak or what have you, when your organization that is trying to build a culture and you're so used to bad things happening and lamenting that, and it's on sports radio, it's on, it's on the podcast, it's in the fan base or what have you, it is so hard to overcome that and really build, bricks over bricks. And this is what, really separates the elites, as athletes from, people who are good enough to just be in the league, which is mental fortitude. It's, Michael Jordan, it's Kobe Bryant, even if they're down 50 points, still playing you, with that laser in their eye, like they have the same energy, like they're down by one, and you still have to exude that. You still have to have that aura. You still have to have that swag, even when things are not going your way. So as I was listening to you talk about Steve, and you're talking about the predictability, one of the things that I'm seeing out there, because I'm not always like, I'm not just looking at the X's and O aspect of it, but I'm just looking at just kind of the collective energy, the believability, just the confidence, that factor that they're exuding or not exuding. And those are the things that, one, take time to build, but also two, to some degree, you either have it or you don't, and so I think that's just what I see missing, with the Jets. I feel like, they have to make a decision what they want to do, moving forward, at quarterback, but also, um, I think that, when we're talking about Justin and just the processing speed, part of that too is, I think, on the coordinator, at least for me, because I just feel like, um, when I think of the conversations Drake May is having with Josh McDaniels right now during the game, in meetings and practice or what have you, I'm not sure that, that's what's happening, to that. Obviously he doesn't have the same experience. So I just think that, I guess what I really want to make sure that I'm highlighting is that I'm not saying that I don't think that Justin has the capability, to do it. I think that he could benefit from someone helping him to get there. He has the base traits, right? And maybe it's not as, automatic as somebody else. But for sure, the OC that's there right now is not the turnkey to make it from base to the level that it needs to go to. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
totally. Yeah, no, Josina, it does. That's an interesting analysis there
Totally
because
makes
I
sense.
love, yeah, I love Tanner Angstrand and his potential. I like the way he thinks about the game, the way he puts together some of these passing concepts. Reminds me a little bit of what they were doing in Detroit. But I see exactly where you're coming from. That Justin Fields probably would have benefited from a veteran OC, not someone that's doing it for the first time. Josina,
Correct.
do you think this is, if you had to say, like, and Will too, jump in. Do you think this is Justin's last stand, getting an opportunity to start with a team? Because I think that's putting a lot of pressure on his shoulders. People are bringing up the fact that he had a concussion earlier in the year and he had that leg contusion, which might be why he seems a little bit more tentative out there. Even when he's running, they were showing clips of him last time he played in New England, and he looked a lot more assertive and physical, and he was imposing his athleticism on that defense. I didn't really get that today when I thought we could have gotten some more of that today. Um, Joe, what do you think? Do you think, I mean, is that pressure looming on him? Is this the last stand? What do you think's going to happen
Well,
with him? Yeah.
I always talk about things through a football lens and also a spiritual lens. First of all, we never know when is someone's last stand, because I never want to put a cap on anyone's potential or path that they may or may not have. I mean, just look down the road at Jameis Winston. Circumstances can, come together to then put you right back in there. And, even just to speak to that for a quick second, Jameis has handled everything the right way. A lot of other people would have handled that in a lot of different ways that Jameis did not. And look how things kind of came together and knitted that together for him to now have this opportunity this week. And so, even if, the narrative kind of accumulates on Justin, and people kind of, because that's what people do, that's human nature. People want to box you in, they want to categorize you, they want to put you off to the side and say you're this or you're not that. And the truth of the matter is, I don't really believe that about anybody. That's just my, personal, philosophy. So even if that happens for a time, it doesn't mean it has to happen forever. What it's going to take is, what does he, believe in himself in terms of his ability to recognize what his weaknesses are, what he can get better at, right? Just like any of us. And what work are you willing to put in? How willing are you to stay positive when things are adverse, not going your way, when it could take a time? It could take forever. You know what I mean? I remember when I went for years between one job, to the next, or, I was in Denver 6 years, never thought I was going to be there 6 years. So what I'm saying is, those of us who prevail are those who are willing to outlast and outstay, even when it looks like it never will be your day again. So I'm never going to say he doesn't have the ability. That comes down to him and what he believes in himself, and then circumstances coming together so that that can happen. I know that Justin is also a very religious person. I know in the off season he was in the Houston area doing this conference, this Christian conference that a bunch of athletes, or a number of athletes I should say, showed up to. So I know that he has that wherewithal. But whether it will come together for him with the Jets, how long that will take, is he willing to do that? Only he can answer. But I do think that he has the base skill to stack. I don't think that he has the combination that's going to accelerate that happening right now with the Jets. So I guess that's kind of just how I feel about that. And I would like to see more of the players when things are not kind of going their way, just kind of still staying lit. I don't, for lack of a better word, even if I'm getting beat, in a 400 at Chapel Hill way back in my day, and if I come across the finish line in fourth, I'm still talking to LSU. I'm still talking to all those girls when I come across the finish line, like, yeah, you got me today, but da 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 da. You know what I'm saying? You have to have
Totally.
that about you. So.
Yeah. No, I know. I agree. I thought Fields today. Somebody, I think Jake had brought this analogy up on his show about some days he either has it. He's like a starting pitcher. He's either got it in the first inning, or he don't have it upstairs. But Joe, before we let you go, anything you want to plug? And before you head out, you have to tell us. Ryan's gonna kill me today, by the way, because I'm supposed to be doing a post game show about the game, and I'm like, you know what, Ryan, you're on vacay. I'm gonna kind of run this how I. No, I'm just kidding. But, Joe, what anything you're working on interesting, and give us your Jets quarterback starter for 2026 before you head out.
Well, three things I'll say. Number one, even when the passes are getting dropped, Justin has to carry on like the pass didn't get dropped. Okay. So mentally, you just got to stay up. Your players are looking at you and your energy. That's one last thing I wanted to say. Secondly, as far as what I wanted to plug, I have my own show called The Exhibit. I do it when I want. That kind of happens when you're 23, 25 years in your career. I don't pressure myself to do. I just do it when I want. So you just have to wait. When I drop something, I drop something. But the website is the exhibit newsnetwork.com. I drop things on Twitter, building up the YouTube. So there you go, Exhibit News Network. And then lastly, I would say as a teaser, at least within 2 or 3 weeks, I will have an interview that I do think Jets fans will also be interested to hear. There's a couple times where I thought I was going to do it last week and what have you, but we're definitely going to get it done in the next week or two. And so look out for that when it drops. I won't tell you who, but I will say you will want to hear.
Well, I hope it's with our owner because I think we all have some questions for Mr. Woody Johnson.
I don't think Woody would sit down with me, but that's okay. That's all right.
Yeah.
That makes two of us. So
That makes three of us. I think that makes like a million of us, in the media. But all right, Joe, thank you very much.
Yeah,
Love you. You always you always
yeah,
supported us from day one. She came into Spaces when Stadium first started. We always got along, and I always love her insight and her breaking news is always a pleasure. So, Joe, thanks so much. I'll be in contact. Have a
yeah.
great weekend.
Have a great show. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right. Bye.
Bye. All right, Will, kind of circling back to the game a little bit, and then we're gonna be joined momentarily by friend of U Stadium. Jeremy Fowler is gonna join us, kind of talk about this game a bit. I have some questions for him about where this Jets team's at. Again, Ryan's gonna kill me because this is veering from a post-game show, but hey, I'm hosting today, Rye. So deal with it, pal. But yeah, Will, getting back into this game, I'll say this. All right. The Jets played hard tonight.
yeah,
And I think, say what you want about Aaron Glenn, and I've been somebody that has been the biggest critic of Glenn. I've been on the train earlier on this year of when's this guy going to be out of here. And listen, the team plays hard for him. His messaging seems to be sticking. Does that mean he's the answer here? Is he the solution to all of our problems? No, but I think you can't doubt that these guys play hard and they're not quitting. Tonight was a factor of just a more talented team beating us. And that was it. It is what it is. Yeah. No one really expected the Jets to win tonight, and they lost the exact score that Vegas predicted. So, again, what do you think? I mean, like, there is something to be said about give him a chance, and he's going to be here anyway. And I like the offensive coordinator. I do disagree with Josina on that point. I agree with her in regards to what Justin Fields needed, but
yeah.
I'm not putting together a team around Justin Fields anyway. So, this isn't the Justin Fields show. This is the Aaron Glenn and Tanner Engstrand show for the most part. So I don't know what your thoughts are there.
Yeah, no, I'll finish my my appearance here with this. I feel like it's hard to be. Look, they're 2-8, so people are going to bash Glenn, and I get it. And he brings a lot of this on himself because of the approach he's taken, essentially with like, I'll take the shots because the players, they have a talent issue. Like that's the end of the day. That's the biggest thing here. And I think, I don't think Wilkes is the long-term answer at DC. I think Engstrand's gotten much better and will continue to get better. I think Banjo's been good, and I think Glenn's gotten better. They don't have a quarterback. They probably have the worst quarterback right now, week over week in the league. Today was it was breaking news. He threw for 100 yards. It's not like this is elementary stuff. And then, defensively they probably weren't as talented as I thought specifically they were going to be going into the year. They're missing Garrett. And then on defense, they traded Quinnen and Sauce, and, Sherwood's not been as good throughout the whole year, although him and Quincy have been better. Quincy was really good the last 2 weeks. But Azaria's out. They're down to third string corners. A lot of Isaiah Oliver, getting a lot of Tony Adams, a lot of Michael Clemens reps. Tyler Barron was playing a bunch tonight. So
Tyler Barron sighting, though, that was a nice play.
He did. He did have a TFL.
Nice
I'll give him credit for that. Not worth a 5th round pick in 2026. Regardless. No, look, I think there's a clear talent issue. And I think it's really difficult to evaluate the staff as a whole right now, where there's just the issues of where their talent is at such crucial spots that it's hard. You're not going to beat New England on the road right now the way they're playing with an MVP favorite quarterback when you're fumbling the ball or when you're not making open catches, when there's guys open, you're not throwing it. I'm not saying Glenn's 100% the guy, but I'm not as out on Glenn as like I feel like some people are, because I do feel like they do fight for him. They do play really hard, and I think he's gotten better with some of the in-game management stuff. Where I have hope that, theoretically speaking, he did maybe nail the OC hire. He might have nailed the special teams hire. Like, if he can, if Glenn, if they get rid of Wilkes, whether it's Glenn calling the plays or I don't know, Jonathan Gannon gets fired in Arizona, like I'd take Jonathan Gannon here in a heartbeat, right? Like as DC, or I don't know, Schwartz gets fired in
I would
Cleveland,
love for him
right?
as
Like a
DC
veteran
as
guy
well.
who just is kind of a madman, a little bit of an asshole. On the defensive side, like there'll be names. You can fix the defense in one offseason. The offense, to me, is actually way more fixable right now, because I just feel like it's so glaring what they need. And I feel like if Angstrom could get his hands on somebody that can complete middle of the field throws with timing and rhythm, like he's going to be in a good spot. Like I don't know. So I guess I'll leave it with that, where like they got out talented tonight. Like I don't think they got out coached. I think they got out talented, point blank period.
Yeah. That's the simplest way to put it. Will, my man, appreciate you, brother.
Thanks for having me as always.
Of course. If you guys don't follow Will, I don't know what you're doing in Jets land.
Yeah.
Turn on the Jets. You guys are killing it, brother. I saw 5,000 subs today. You guys bringing in that cash, man. I was doing the math. I'm like 5,000 subs, $15 a month, 10.
It's moving. It's moving. It's moving in the right direction.
Now I know why you're able to travel all the time. Makes sense.
I appreciate it.
Congrats. No, seriously, you guys work. I just love when you guys work your tails off, and you guys have been doing this for a bit, like we have. And you guys deserve everything you guys are getting. So
I appreciate that. Yeah.
Of course,
we'll catch up soon.
Whenever, my man.
Yep.
All right. That is Will Pa from Turn on the Jets. Will does some great stuff. He's constantly out there, makes content continuously. Kind of circling back to this game, we'll have Jeremy on. We'll do a quick recap of the game. I'll get Jeremy's thoughts. We'll get some tidbits about what because Jeremy recently came out with an article at ESPN. He's their senior NFL insider regarding Breece Hall, Tyler Linderbaum. He spoke a little bit about Daniel Jones. Again, Ryan's going to kill me for doing this, but Ryan, I'm hosting right now, my man. So enjoy your break. I miss Ryan, though. It's always great doing post games with Ryan. We give flowers. We have some laughs. We tell some corny jokes. I'm not able to do that, by myself. But kind of recapping a little bit. Listen, the Jets today, by the way, if you look at the play chart, we ran almost an equal amount of plays to New England. They just had almost 100 more yards. We had almost the same amount of drives as New England. They scored a few more touchdowns. So that's the difference between the Jets and the New England Patriots. And I think the biggest difference in that is New England has Drake May, and New England got a receiver like Stephon Diggs in free agency, of which they spent a lot of money in free agency, New England. I thought they may have overspent, but you saw the culmination of that today. New England now is on an 8-game winning streak. They're 9-2 in the AFC East. So that's big. He brought in Mike Vrabel, who we spoke about in our preview show about what if Ryan does the what if Mike Vrabel was our head coach. And it makes you think, what if? But we're here now with Aaron Glenn. I think he's gotten better. I don't think it's good enough, though. I think you go from where he was at the first 7 games of the year. We were 0-7, and where we are now, 2-8. I feel a little better about it, but I don't feel better about it necessarily. Where I'm okay with it. So I need to see a lot more from I guess this team, but then there's a conversation about where you want to end the year, where you want to draft, how you want to position this team moving forward. I do think they play hard, though. And I think they've been playing hard for the most part. Like, I was looking today at, Quincy and some of the guys on defense. I'm like, it's a shame that we've had some of these players that are able to make plays, and we're never able to complement that with an offense that's able to put up points. And then when our offense does manage to put up points once a blue moon, it seems like our defense sort of disappears on those nights. That's going to be something that Aaron Glenn and Steve Wilkes and Tanner Engstrom have to figure out how to really put together complete game plans when it comes to how this year ends out. If you're looking towards the future with at least one of those guys, if not, having Glenn and Engstrand as part of the plans for 2026. I'm not really sure what their quarterback plan is going to be the rest of the year. I think I don't think Fields played bad enough tonight where the Tyrod truthers are going to come out and say, hey, it's time to insert Tyrod Taylor. But I would have liked to see a little bit more from Fields. You heard Will, who played tight end in college, talk about how Fields let some, balls get away from him today. I thought that, listen, I'm going to disagree with him on this. That ball to A.D. Mitchell, that first ball that was dropped, that was a great ball. Like, yeah, do you want to put it a little bit more in front towards the middle of the field so you give your receiver more room? Probably, but like, he's backing up in the pocket. He's feeling the pressure. He's just trying to get it there. He dropped it right in the breadbasket there where the D-back and Christian Gonzalez couldn't make a play. I do agree, though, the next drop by A.D. Mitchell I don't think was a drop, and they probably won't call that a drop, was just badly placed. He had another badly placed ball to A.D. Mitchell earlier, a drive before that, on 2nd and 9. A.D. Mitchell runs a hitch, and the ball's sailing, man. Like, it's just inaccurate. And that's where Justin Fields struggles to be an NFL quarterback. It's just, he's just inaccurate too often. That's it. He doesn't run enough anymore, or he doesn't want to, or the game plan's not there to make up for his inaccuracies. He had one of his better games in the last month tonight, believe it or not. He really did. And that's not saying much, but that's sort of the reality we're living right now as Jet fans. We're watching this guy week in and week out try to be the 30th best quarterback in football, literally, meaning startable. And he's not even able to. And I'm not trying to crap on the guy, but he's not getting help with those weapons. But there's nothing I'm looking at where I'm like, all right, where does this end? Like, or where does this go? And more, the question is, when does this end? This experiment with Justin Fields, just, it never made sense. It never made sense. You had an OC like Josina spoke about. That's for a first-time OC who's used to calling plays for, or scripting plays up for, Jared Goff. Could you get a more opposite quarterback than Justin Fields? So I don't think the game plans make sense. I did think today when they did run the zone read a bit, it worked. And he actually, on that touchdown run, which I should have freaking bet, plus 1,400 to the bettors out there that cashed in on that first touchdown. But he actually should have gave the rock. That DN, that edge player, that edge was waiting for Justin Fields to keep it. Fields is so athletic, he's able to hit the corner before the edge, who's literally waiting for him to also go to the corner. That's how athletic Justin Fields is. That should have been a give, though, not a take. He should have gave that, and then Brees could slash it right back. If he did give it, I don't think Brees would have gotten it, though. I think Brees was going to go with the head of steam and miss that cutback potentially. But regardless, he scored, and that's what Justin Fields can do. But that's where the Fields conversation ends. I want a quarterback. This team needs a quarterback that in their sleep can go out there and throw for 270 yards. That's what we need. Or at least 240, 250. We're clapping our hands, putting our hands up in the air. Yeah, if this guy ends up with 140 yards. 150 yards for Justin Fields seems like 300 yards for Patrick Mahomes for us. And you're sort of seeing this every week. We can't complete a ball over 10 yards. The air yardage today was so low in the first half. The most air yards on a ball was 7 yards, average. So, I mean, that's in terms of completions, that's just not enough. It's not enough. This team just doesn't have enough right now. But, all right, so I believe we do have Jeremy Fowler, my man. Jeremy,
Hey guys,
what's up, my man?
hey,
How
can
you
you hear me
doing?
all right?
Yeah, I can hear you
Apologies,
perfectly
I'm
fine.
driving. It's darker than I thought in here, so I just left
Oh
the
no,
stadium.
it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Oh, okay, got it. You don't have a. It looks like you have a flashlight on your head. Are you like? I'm kidding.
I just turned the light on in my car. Yeah,
No,
I
you're
can
fine.
turn it
You're fine.
off.
No, I'll keep it on. Keep it on.
But
It's
yeah,
fine.
yeah, I just left the action. So the Patriots are a happy team. I was in their locker room for most of the time.
Mm.
So yeah, fire away.
Yeah, what was the vibe in that locker room like? How was it flat or were they excited? It seemed it was a little flat the game tonight, right? A little bit.
A little bit, but this is a team that's really confident, and it's different than the Bill Belichick days where everybody was kind of tight and on edge. You see kind of a looser environment
Okay.
with Mike Vrabel. Even though he at the podium is pretty measured, he kind of called Drake May's performance fairly good. He won't, which is about right anyways. But he was responding to a question about the MVP chants, which are now in full effect. I mean, this guy is squarely in that mix. And he won't really go there. He's still a little cautious with how he praises players, like he was in Tennessee. But you can tell, he knows what he's got. And he made a comment that nobody or the only thing that will stop our offense is us, which is
Interesting.
pretty telling. It shows a guy who has a lot of confidence, 25 to 30 points in any setting.
Yeah, and I was telling someone this earlier. Bringing in Mike Vrabel there, I mean that guy's just made of confidence. They brought in confident players around Drake May. Will Campbell said it after the game. I'm reading this now. He goes, "I'm biased, but he's the best player in the NFL." So I think part of changing that culture was bringing in players like that are just supremely confident, and it helps a quarterback that was questioned at times last year for his confidence, if we all remember how things change in a year. Jeremy, what's your take on this Jets team? I mean, do you think they're getting better? If you're me, right, like a Jets fan here, trying to figure out what this Aaron Glenn thing is. Oh, are you there? Yeah, Jeremy, I don't know if you hear me. Are you there?
About that, I got your back now. I lost you for a little
no.
bit.
Quickly.
You're talking about Vrabel.
Yeah, I was saying with Vrabel, I just think he's made of confidence. He's so supremely confident, and they brought in players like Will Campbell, who just referred to Drake May as the best player in football earlier. That team is just changing how they're doing business, and it's just a confident bunch. On the other side, do you feel the Jets are they getting better with Aaron Glenn? If you had to say, like, are you noticing? What did you notice from the Jets tonight?
I do think
Jeremy, you hear me?
it wasn't pretty tonight. Yeah, I got you. There are some slight improvements. I hate to take the optimist view because I know it's ugly right now at 2-8. It does seem like the defense has at least settled down a little bit. I know the coverage was a little leaky there where guys were open, but they're at least competing on that side of the ball where before, or at least early in the year, it looked like it was a bit of a mess. I do think after the trades, the players responded the right way. I know Aaron Glenn told the team after they made the Gardner and Quinn Williams trades that, like, with change comes opportunity for younger players to fill in. That was sort of his message. I talked to Jamie and Sherwood earlier this week about that a little bit. They got me on the phone with him for a couple minutes, and he mentioned that he thought guys responded well to that, and then winning was infectious a little bit, going back to back. But you hit it with the passing game with Fields. It's just you can see it. I was at the pregame warmups. I was on the field watching, and Fields sailed a couple throws in warmups on air. You just see some of those issues there, and it's just tough when you can't pass for more than 150 yards. So I think at least Tyrod Taylor would give them a chance to hit some of the basic plays, the routine passing plays that kind of should be layups that they're struggling with right now.
Yeah. And when a coach sees that and an OC sees him missing, like he missed that hitch with A.D. Mitchell earlier in the game, they're going to call less passing plays. Like it's the confidence from the whole staff goes down. And, you really do yourself no favors. And then Josina had brought up, which was a good point. He gets in his head a little bit, and then he has that fumble, and that's basically the game. But Jeremy, let's go through this quick, and then I'm going to wrap up here. The normal host of the show, so you're on with the New York Post Sports. Everyone like the stream if you're out there. Jeremy Fowler, ESPN senior NFL insider, one of the goats in the biz. Jeremy, you came out with an article. Let's get into it quickly. Breece Hall.
Yeah.
What are you thinking with Breece Hall in the offseason? You said something like he could sign a deal similar to Josh Jacobs' range. What are you feeling? What are you hearing?
Yeah, that's the comp I got from a few teams, actually, is Josh Jacobs got 4 years, $48 million 2 years ago, roughly 2 years ago. So maybe that with inflation, like he's a legitimate back in free agency. You usually don't see that very often. Last year those guys didn't get paid. I do think he will be in a good spot and do very well. Because even a couple years ago, he was one of the top backs rated in our top 10 series. He just had a bad year last year. So now he's healthy, playing better. I know tonight there weren't any huge runs that could change the game, but he is a guy that is in our top 10 free agency radar. I think he's going to do really well. And so they got some decisions to make for a team that's clearly in transition, but has a lot of draft picks. You didn't trade Breece Hall at the deadline. You had a chance to because you valued him at like a third-round pick. So that tells me that they're at least either intrigued by paying him or they think he's going to get paid enough to where they'll get a good comp pick for him down the road.
Yeah. I spoke with Ryan and Kaz, Brian Costello on the New York Post about a transition tag or a non-exclusive. I mean, do you think the Jets will explore one of those options if they can't strike a deal?
Yeah, I don't know do you know what the numbers are offhand? I don't know what the transition is.
Transitions is the top 10 average, and then it allows you to kind of go out and negotiate, but you don't have those 2 first rounders that you're kind of a gun to a team's head to do it. So players like it more. It's a weird one. It seems like the best case scenario for Breece, but it's not really something you commonly see. But yeah, do you think they would tag him if they don't have a deal set up, or it doesn't seem like?
I mean, you saw it a couple years ago with Saquon and Josh Jacobs.
Yeah,
they both got tagged, but I don't know if Breece is at their level, but he's close. So I'd be kind of surprised.
Yeah,
there are some benefits of the transition tag, like you said, in that case, or at least gives you a placeholder or the option to match or negotiate. But given where the team is and how many picks it now has, I would have a hard time seeing that. I think they would go younger there. But if they can strike a deal outright, without a tag, I could see that as well. I think they'll kick it around, and they do see value in him. It just depends on how much.
Yeah. All right, well, let's touch on 2 last guys. I just want to throw them at you. These are, by the way, these are notes from Jeremy Fowler, senior NFL insider for ESPN. He always has good tidbits. If you're not following him on Twitter or you're not checking out his work on ESPN, you have ESPN paid stuff. Pay for the articles, everyone. Allow Jeremy to live a great life. He deserves it. He's helped us out.
You don't have to pay for him anymore.
You don't?
The ESPN Plus is lifted. Yeah.
When did it get lifted?
For you.
Why am I paying to watch these games then?
The games are different. The games are different. I'm just talking about my written content is no longer on a paywall. So
great, perfect. All right, nice.
So yeah, you can check it out at ESPN.com.
All right, great. Jeremy, two names that I like for the Jets.
Yeah.
Center Tyler Linderbaum. You wrote that the Ravens are not within striking distance of a long-term deal. What's going on there? There's an assumption that there's been, people have assumed he's one of the best centers in football, a few years back.
Yeah.
And what's kind of going on there? The Jets might be in the market, given that Josh Myers was sort of a placeholder there.
Yeah, I mean, my sense on it is they picked Kyle Hamilton over Linderbaum as far as who to take care of first, in part because they had to franchise tag one of them, and the center tag bomb went under O lineman, which is like $20+ million. It might even be like $27 million. It's a huge number. So that didn't make sense to give that to a center. So they gave the tag to Hamilton, knowing that they can get a deal done that gives them time. Where now Linderbaum doesn't have the tag, and so he's got more leverage because of it, because they went and paid Hamilton. They've paid other players. They got to probably pay Lamar eventually again. They have a lot of guys. I wrote about Isaiah Likely too, who could get the franchise tag because that tight end tag is lower. It's like 15 million and change. So that kind of puts Linderbaum in a position of strength, but it does make sense for Baltimore to keep him. They have been talking. I still think there's a good chance of that he stays there. But they have a lot of players they got to take care of. I mean, they have several marquee free agents. Travis Jones, D tackles, another one. So they have a lot to sort out there, and we'll see if they can find a sweet spot with Linderbaum. Luckily, centers don't make crazy money in comparison to other positions. So maybe there's a sweet spot you can find among like the top 2 or 3 highest paid centers, somewhere under $20 million a year.
Great insight. Yeah. It's interesting. Baltimore seems to like to shuffle things around every once in a while. They do a good job of it. Usually, I'm curious if it's like if Baltimore doesn't want someone, why would we want who they don't want? But that was good insight with who they decided to pay first there. Last name, and I'll let you run. And then I need a Jets win-loss prediction before you get out of here, because we do that here. Unfortunately, we got to talk about in the 4s and 5s every year. But Alec Pierce, right? He's the receiver I really love, and he's due to be a free agent. You wrote could get paid $20 million a year. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, but where are you getting that from necessarily? Because I want him here.
Yeah. So I was talking to a team the other day, and somebody I trust with the team, and they had said they had heard 20 million for him. That's either what he wants or what he might get. So when I ran that by some other teams, that number, they didn't scoff at it. They just, it's kind of the market. I mean, Calvin Ridley a couple years ago got 20 and change. I think it was 23 million a year. And that's been an up and down proposition, where Pierce is, kind of a classic outside receiver that can draw safety help with his speed and size and jumping ability. So that pays. It's just the way the market is now. I don't think it's saying that he's going to be a top 10 receiver in the league. It's just, that's the market. He and George Pickens are going to do very well. So it's going to be tough. It's one of those positions now where it's more of a premium than it used to be, just because of the numbers game that you can play. Like if you can draw a safety or draw a big shade of coverage, you're tilting the math. Out of 11 defenders, you're taking 2 or maybe 3. That just costs a lot now. And there's so many teams you see right now that don't have that guy. One of the teams that played tonight included. I mean, they have Garrett Wilson, of course, but he wasn't out there. And you look at the Packers the other night. Romeo Dobbs is a good player who will do pretty well, but they could use like that alpha number 1. Totally. So teams are starved for a receiver, that's for sure.
Yeah, look at Stephon Diggs tonight. I mean, you don't need to look far from there. I mean, Stephon Diggs showed why he could still be a number 1 wide receiver in this league. I don't know if he could do it on a week out basis because he's getting a little older, but he cooked tonight, Stephon. He had a really nice night, unfortunately. But all right, Jeremy.
31 with an ACL tear, and he's looking good. I mean, it's impressive.
He looks great. Yeah. He looks great. Yeah. Jeremy, all right. Jets score. Oh, excuse me, not score prediction. We already saw the score. Season prediction. All right, we're 2-8.
Yeah.
Where do the Jets finish? Are we going to have a top 5 pick? That's what the tankers want to know. They keep bugging me. The tankers.
Yeah. Can you run me through the schedule real quick? What are the games?
Let's go through it. All right, we're going to go through the schedule. Yes, I have it right here. All right. So we're at the Ravens next Sunday.
Yeah. Okay, it's a loss.
Okay, I shouldn't even have asked. I should have just skipped that one.
No.
Falcons at home.
Okay. Well, I'll just keep going. Just run. I just want to know who they play.
Okay, I got it. All right. Ravens at Baltimore. Sorry. Falcons at home. Dolphins, Jaguars at Jacksonville. Then at New Orleans. Then we host the Patriots. And then the last game of the year, we're going to Buffalo for their last game at that stadium. We're 2-8.
I'm going to say there are 2 wins in there. I'll give them 2 wins. I'm going to say 4-13. I think
Okay,
a combination
that's fair.
of the Saints, Falcons, and Jaguars, they can get one of those, maybe 2. I will give them the benefit of the doubt and give them 2. So
Okay.
4-13. 4-13, all things considered, right now isn't the worst thing, I guess. I mean, that still puts you in the top 5, and you have a gazillion
It
picks.
does.
But I
I'm
mean,
thinking.
look, we'll see if they tilt the math and just try to conveniently lose a little bit. Like I don't think they're going to do that, but that doesn't seem to be Aaron Glenn's style. But if they really like Mendoza out of Indiana, who they were watching live last week, then maybe that tells you something.
Yeah, no, I know. We're having stick fights. I call it on Twitter about Mendoza or Simpson or Dante Moore. It's just it never ends here with these convos, man.
No doubt.
Yeah, Jeremy, thanks so much, man. I really appreciate it. If and then everyone out there follow Jeremy. Everyone knows who you are, but I love you during draft time too. I love your off season work and what you do then. It's always great stuff. But thanks, man. I really appreciate it, Jeremy.
Thank you, man. No, I appreciate that. Thanks as always for having me. You guys have a great night.
Oh, of course. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. All right, so there you have it. Jeremy Fowler, senior NFL ESPN insider. Some good notes there. Talked about some players that I like for the Jets, but yeah, we'll wrap up with this final thoughts on tonight's game. Listen, the Jets are 2-8. They tried with whatever they had tonight. You go into you go into a gunfight with a knife or whatever the hell the phrase is. I can never get a phrase right. That's why I probably needed Ryan here for that. But yeah. They didn't have enough tonight, and there was really zero expectations from me and from most people that they were going to win this game. They played a good game overall, though. Like, considering what they had and who they were playing and where they were playing and when they were playing on this short week, they played a good game. Seriously, I mean that's really all I could say. I don't think they played badly. I'm not up in oh my god, we lost the game, or this team stinks. That they could have won. Like, no, they just got beat by a better team. They did some things well at times. They didn't do things well at other times, and that's this Jets team. The thing, if you're a Patriots fan, you're excited about what you're seeing out there with Drake May and Travion Henderson and some of these pieces. And the Jets are going to be trying to find their quarterback because the one that we had back there, 7, isn't the guy. He's not the guy. He's not getting us 7. He's not scoring touchdowns. That's my corny reference for the night. But yeah, with that being said, thanks for everyone for joining. Shout outs to the New York Post Sports for having me host this on their YouTube. I did get a little bit into the off-season stuff. I spoke to Josina earlier in the week. I speak with Jeremy. Nick Spano from U Stadium helped hook this up. I wanted to get their input. It was a short week. We got, Sundays in a few days. Let's get some input. A lot of Jet fans, after the 8th loss of the year, that's really when you're mathematically out of the playoffs. It's very tough. I know we had Jet fans saying we're going to win 10 games in a row. You got to be a maniac to think that. I don't even think that. If I have 10 shots of tequila, I wouldn't even say that. But the season's over. It's over. That's it. It's okay. It was over when we lost 5 games in a row to start the year. We were 0-5. It was over. I was over when we were 0-4. So think about what this team could do. I did see some things encouraging tonight. I did. I think Glenn is doesn't seem over his head the last couple of weeks. He doesn't. Does that mean I want to keep him around? He's going to be around, so you'd rather see something than nothing. But with that being said, I'm heading out. We will be back next week. I'm sure Ryan will do something maybe early next week with Kaz. I'll be around for the preview show, and then me and Ryan and myself will be doing the post-game show. But yeah, my flowers for the night. I didn't give them out. Ryan and I give flowers out every game. I'm gonna give my flowers to I was gonna give it to someone. I'm gonna give my flowers to John Mechie. There we go. John Mechie, targeted 3 times, had 3 catches, and had a touchdown tonight. Shout outs to John Mechie. Had an incredibly hard journey to get where he is. He was a throw-in wide receiver. He scored tonight. He looked good. He had a 22-yard catch, long of the day, more than double Mason Taylor's, who had the second longest catch today, 11 yards. Again, this story repeats itself every week with these pass catchers, but whatever. Mason didn't have a terrible game, 4 catches, 30 yards. But yeah, this team needs more at quarterback. But yeah, my flowers goes to John Mechie. Frankie V checking out. Stay tuned in with the New York Post, and we'll see you all next week.